Welcome to Conversations. My name is Jason Plotkin, and I am the program director at Congregation Emanu. Every week, we sit down with a member of the congregation, community, or perhaps even from the sports world to discuss the current state of affairs. Over the last few months, we've highlighted some nonprofit entities within the Houston community. For some, it may have been their first exposure. For others, it may have been a deeper dive under the surface of a group or organization they were already aware of. Today, we explore an organization that Emanu has historically been very supportive of, and one that we hope our congregants and the greater community will continue to throw some support behind, and that's Count Me In. So we have a whole slew of guests, so I'm going to welcome them on. So let's learn more about Count Me In. Let's welcome the founders, Eric Berdinis and Ben Rice, Gillian Lindenberg of Lonestar Region BBYO, and Morgan Zeringue of Jewish Family Service. So everyone's on now. So let's begin before we dive in, and we're going to go around one by one to learn more. But before we dive in, for those who are not familiar with Count Me In, let's start with Gillian. Gillian, do you mind giving us a high in the sky look of what Count Me In is?
Yes, and I want to first start off by thanking you, Jason, for having all of us on today, and also by thanking Emanu and the entire Emanu community who, as Jason said, has always been so supportive on Count Me In. We have every year when we roll up, there's just mountains of gifts that the Emanu congregants have given, and that's really a lot to you. Your credit, Jason, and the work that you've done and your team has done on promoting Count Me In. So I wanted to, start off first by saying thank you for all of the support. So Hanukkah feels far away, but it's right around the corner. Starts December 10th this year, and traditionally, as Jewish children here in the States receive 8 presents for each night of Hanukkah. And so Count Me In is a Hanukkah gift donation and distribution program that collects brand new presents from throughout the Houston Jewish community and then distributes them with each child getting 8 brand new gifts. And the families that receive gifts through Count Me In are experiencing financial difficulties during the Hanukkah season. And Count Me In was established by Eric and Ben, who we're so happy are here with us today, in 2005, and has grown to serve over 300 children annually. And we've distributed thousands and thousands of gifts over the past 15 years.
All right. So you just explained how we got to this point. But this project, and we're lucky to have the founders, was started by Eric and Ben when they were in high school and in Lonestar Region BBYO. I'm a proud alum of Jack Lubell AZA. I should put that out there, and I've met my wife through BBYO, so I really do appreciate what BBYO does. So Eric and Ben, what urged you both to take on this project and start this thing up back when you were in high school?
Hi, Jason. I'll take that one. First off, I'd like to echo Gillian's comments and say thank you. In these unique times, Emanu has always passed out gift bags so donors could fill out gifts and buy Hanukkah gifts for their community members, but trying to keep our community safe, we can't have things like that this year. So being on a podcast and trying to get the word out any way we can is so helpful. So thank you very much. As for the beginning of when we started this, we were freshmen in high school. Our high school was incentivizing us to do more volunteer work, and we were looking for, some organization to get involved in. Our families thought it would be best if we focused on one thing, that we would have the most meaningful impact if we really invested ourselves in one thing and put as much of our effort into that as possible. At the time, we had, and for years before that, filled out Christmas gifts for people in other communities around Houston for Christmas holidays. And we had wondered, if there was anything like that in the Jewish community, if there was a group that already existed that we could get involved in. We talked to a lot of rabbis, and there wasn't anything that we had seen. And as for why we started our own program, from the ground up, probably just very good parenting. Our mothers were very encouraging and excited to do something like this with us. And definitely our families were a huge help and inspiration to go the extra mile to build something from the ground up. And then just to add something new to the Jewish community, like a niche that had never been filled before. I think a lot of people see the holidays as kind of a private thing, but it's really an exciting way for the community to help out each other. That, it's not just individual families at the holidays, it's, a whole community looking out for each other and taking care of each other. So, and I think the fact that it's gone on for 15 years is proof of that continuing.
You mentioned helping out people, and we have Morgan from JFS on this Zoom as well. And Morgan, we know there's a need in the community. So for those who may be unfamiliar with your role specifically at JFS, please enlighten us, and then tell us about the role that JFS plays annually with Count Me In.
Absolutely. So thank you guys for having me. And JFS really offers a wide variety of holistic services. I currently serve as the manager of all of our case management services. We have family and children, senior adult case management, disability, disaster case management, and really try to provide supportive services to families who are having various types of challenges. So we do all kinds of things, from helping people apply for, navigate, and understand public benefit programs like SNAP and Medicaid and CHIP, to providing a bridge for families who are in financial strain. Currently, obviously, COVID is here and present in a lot of our lives. And so we do provide emergency short-term financial assistance. We also have great services like therapy, social groups, celebration company. And so we really try to build a relationship with the families and kind of help to connect the dots in terms of services. They may come in for one thing, and then through conversations and interactions, we find that there are other areas that JFS can be supportive. Our role in the Count Me In program is really as the referral source for the recipients of the gifts. And so they contact us. Many of them are already our clients, but of course, yearly, based on what's happening, we had a big uptick in clients after the floods and Hurricane Harvey, of course. And we know that there may be some new families in need this year related to financial strain due to COVID. And so we serve as the referral source for all the recipients. And again, sometimes we find that they may come in and sign up for Count Me In gift assistance programs and need other services as well. And so we're really able to kind of help them navigate and understand what services and programs that we offer. And so hopefully fill the gaps where needed.
All right, well, that was really neat. Before we flip the switch to COVID, Gillian, I think for those who have a familiarity with Count Me In, or maybe those who don't, what are some of the ways that individuals and groups have been able to volunteer in previous years with Count Me In the weeks leading up to Hanukkah? I know our synagogue, our health and religious school has always participated. What are some of the ways that you can share that groups have engaged with Count Me In previously?
So traditionally, we put these large shopping bags, hundreds of them, out into the community. And all sorts of Jewish institutions take on bags: synagogues, schools, JCCs, really everywhere you go in the Jewish community around this time every year, you'll see Count Me In bags. And inside the bag, there'll be like a suggested gift list, and each bag is designated for a specific age and gender. So you might see like a bag that's for a 5-year-old girl. And when people go to services or religious school, like you said, they would pick up a bag and go shopping. All the gifts that we accept are new, so everyone needs to go like actually shop for their bags, and then they return them. And So that's probably where majority of our volunteers come from, and the work they do is through shopping and donating. We also have donors that donate financially and like give cash every year, and there are actually a lot of kind of costs associated with Count Me In that might not be super obvious, like the printing and the bags, and we also give out Hanukkah supplies. So those donating financially is also a really important part of our donation pipeline as well. So after we get our bags in, we rely on a small army of volunteers who help us to hand check every single bag. So, we get hundreds of bags back, and we go through all of them to make sure there's 8 brand new gifts that they're age appropriate, and then we'll assign them to a family. So all sorts of groups come out and volunteer with us, primarily youth. So a lot of, youth groups or synagogue, religious school classes. Emery Weiner has come out and helped with us before. So we get a large network of volunteers through that way. Also, and this is probably something listeners might not know about, is that when we distribute the bags, we actually work with non-Jewish volunteers. Because of the anonymity of the project and the idea that the donors don't know the recipients and the recipients don't know the donors, and we really want to protect the identity of our recipients, we bring folks in from outside of the Jewish community. So if someone wants to come up and pick up their bag and not be recognized, for example, they don't have to worry about that. So yeah, that's all the different kind of ways that people get involved, and really so many people and organizations make Count Me In possible.
Well, the next thing we're going to go talk about is how geographic barriers have come tumbling down. We've talked about that week to week here on Conversations. Those in the Emanu community are probably aware that our synagogue is partnered with literally synagogues across the ocean. In London, we've partnered with a synagogue in LA, a synagogue in Atlanta. Geographic barriers have tumbled. And I think Gillian told me before we were working on this that the original founders who are here on the call, Ben and Eric, have been able to get more back involved with Count Me In since the geographic barriers due to COVID have fallen. So I guess we'll throw this one to Eric. Eric, how has COVID enabled you both to get back into the fold, even though you both live out of town?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, being on a Zoom call like this, speaking to thousands of people in the Jewish community is just one of those ways that the geographic barriers have indeed come down. So, Ben and I, even though we're not part of the day-to-day operations, have been involved in small ways, helping Count Me In over the last 10, 15 years. Typically, Ben helps with some of the tax filings. I help with some small website tweaks, but Gillian and others throughout BBYO have really done a tremendous job with the program and continue to serve hundreds of recipients locally. But we always knew that this program would need a bit of a refresh to make it easier for people to donate online and with a more modern website. And COVID sort of brought us all together, including our parents, to think through some of the fundamentals of the program and how we adopt them to today's reality. So we were able to collaborate, between California and Houston, and now I'm in the Mountain Time Zone. We work week after week to update the program to get it ready for Hanukkah 2020. And in particular, I'm excited to say that we have a new website and a new online donation flow, as this year we're going to be relying on monetary donations more than many other years, which we'll get into a bit, to fund the program. So, I think things like our Zoom meetings and just the ways that we can help from across the country have made it easier for us to get back involved, and we're excited to be able to do that this year.
So Eric has brought up the changes slightly. He started talking about the financial changes and how people are going to contribute to the Count Me In effort. Gillian, I know there's other changes that you can enlighten us to. Give us a glimpse into what these major changes are. And I know Eric just said that a lot of these conversations came up in Zoom meetings. So tell us a little bit about how those decisions came about.
So obviously, when this summer, like when it was clear that COVID was not going away, we started thinking a lot about like how Count Me In was going to be impacted by this disease and all of the things that have come from it. And it became clear that we were going to have to really rethink things. We discussed a lot of different options. A lot of people involved, Morgan, Ben and Eric, obviously their families. And because of the safety guidelines around COVID, typically, Count Me In is like all the gifts and everything are kept in these very small rooms. People pack into these rooms in pretty large numbers, 10, 15 volunteers at a time in like a small space. Was not conducive to COVID safety guidelines. Additionally, our gifts flow comes through all of these communal spaces, which are not functioning as communal spaces now. So the questions of like, how would we get the gifts? How would we get the bags out to the community? How would we then store the gifts? How would we organize the gifts? There was just so many different elements that kept running through that just were so complicated that we weren't sure if we were going to be able to get past them. And then there was the concern about the future of, we're trying to plan in August for a program in December. And we had no idea where things are going to be. We're very much living day to day right now. And, we could have come up with this whole plan for the whole, city, state, what have you, to get shut down again and for us all to be back in our homes. So we needed to come up with something that was going to guarantee that our clients would be able to have support during Hanukkah this year, and not have to worry about all of the constraints related to COVID safety guidelines in the future. So instead, we've decided to accept cash gifts online and via check. And the donations we receive will be turned into gift cards. We're going to be working with Target, and the Target gift cards will then be distributed to our families along with the traditional Hanukkah ritual items through our partnership with Jewish Family Services. So obviously our major change is that we're not accepting the physical brand new presents anymore, and our recipients won't be receiving brand new presents. But we're really confident that our donor base is going to, come through and support the families this year. Obviously, everyone's going to miss shopping. We're all going to. I miss shopping for Count Me In. But the project at the end of the day was always about supporting those within our communities, which I think makes it really special, and that is not going to change this year.
Piggybacking on that, you talked about shopping and the experiences that you had. And then earlier, Morgan talked about families still dealing with stuff from the floods, the hurricane. So a few weeks ago, we had Carl Josart, also from Jewish Family Service, and he really explained the needs of the community. But Morgan, in dealing with your clients at JFS, how do you view Count Me In as a lift or a boost to those you work with, particularly this time of year and particularly with all we're going through right now?
Absolutely. I think that these types of special programmings help people to feel some sense of normalcy in a time where the world feels so unpredictable. And so I think that while it's always great to be able to provide the basic needs assistance that we provide, when we're able to partner and do holiday programs, we recently did a small food program, meals program. I think it just helps to add some normalcy to people's lives in a time where people are feeling very hesitant and very overwhelmed with financial strain and school challenges and all these things that are happening. I think that it just provides that uplift for people. It also helps them to motivate them to want to celebrate. It gives them something to look forward to. And so I think it's really important.
This project has special meaning to everyone on this broadcast right now. And I really think it's neat to have the inner circle, if you will, that brings it all together. So I want to throw it back to the founders. Maybe Eric can go first and then Ben. but it's been 15 years since you guys started Count Me In. Hundreds of families have benefited over time. What does this mean to each of you as a person, and seeing this legacy project continue on well beyond your time in BBYO? And Eric, you can go first, and then we'll transition to Ben.
Yeah. I think the legacy that I'm proud of is that we're showing that kids and teens can make a difference in their community. And, Hanukkah is one of those holidays in America where kids and teens get really excited, but Count Me In is a way to kind of harvest and leverage that excitement and direct it towards helping others who might be less fortunate. So I'm proud that we've set an example that whether you're volunteering for Count Me In or encouraging your parents to go shopping or to give money for Count Me In, or if it's an inspiration to help start up a new project in a niche where the community isn't being well served, I hope that that's the legacy that has extended beyond the time when Ben and I ran the program directly, and that we've continued the spirit of giving back to the Jewish community. That's really what this is all about.
Ben, you want to go ahead next?
Yeah. There's a lot of ways that it's been especially meaningful this year and for the past years. This year in particular, it's been nice to be more involved in the Houston Jewish community I don't live in Houston right now, so without having to jump on the plane, to be able to interact with Houston more. For example, on Passover, I probably wasn't going to be able to come back for the Seder, but because of quarantine, our whole Seder was on Zoom. So I was able to celebrate that with my whole extended family, and everyone was able to be together at a time when everyone was kind of trapped in their own little spaces and alone. So it was nice that in this year in particular, people can interact, through Zoom and online in ways that we've never done before. Also, it's been meaningful to have BBYO take over the program. That was a big part of Eric and my high school experience. We spent a lot of time and hours on BBYO, and it's nice that year after year, new kids can interact with this program and experience it and give back to their community and celebrate the holidays in ways where they help others in addition to their own family. So we're really excited that BBYO in particular took over this program as opposed to just another family. And lastly, it's especially meaningful because at the time that we started this, my mom was fighting cancer, and she was very acutely aware of pouring your heart into your community. She got a lot of help from the community. She really loved this program. She loved the Houston Jewish community. And it was a great way for her to give back. And I know she passed away a few years ago, but she would really love to see that it's still going on, and something that she loved and cared about continues to impact families and impact her community many years later. So that's very exciting to see.
And thanks for sharing that personal story. I can definitely relate to meaningful family experiences that continue to provide a legacy. And you referenced BBYO, and I understand the power of such an organization. And Gillian, with Lonestar region having such a robust presence here in the community, you have over 1,000 members in the region, which also includes San Antonio, Austin, and College Station. And that's really neat that you have College Station now. So many families are touched by the work. What has really driven you and your team every year, the teens in BBYO every year, to keep this going?
So, at its core, BBYO is a Jewish leadership organization. And Count Me In really gives us the opportunity to model that leadership throughout the community in a way that, is inherently Jewish, right? Like by doing Gimilut Chasadim, or acts of loving kindness. So, this is such a huge pillar of our faith. So as young Jews and as leaders, I think it's just the perfect program for us to take on. And, in preparing for today, I was really thinking about Maimonides. And, he's this, for those that don't know, a very influential Jewish scholar, philosopher. And he talks about the levels of tzedakah. And the highest level is like sustainable giving. So like the giving of like a loan or helping someone find a job. And JFS does this kind of work all the time, and it's why I feel so lucky to have them as a partner on this. But the second level is when the recipient and donor don't know each other. And that's what Count Me In is. So as a Jew, really recognize the importance of this work. And it's really important for me as the director of Lonestar to keep this going, because it really creates a space for people to give and receive in a way that is really important to us as Jews and just in general. And I also would say that it gives us the opportunity to collaborate with so many organizations, and that's so important to us as a pluralistic institution. I don't think there are many other projects in the community that bring together so many partners, and I would honestly list them all here, but it would take some time. And so I encourage everyone to go to our website, our new website, and to our partners page to see all of our partners that are involved with this program.
We'll give you a chance to plug everything at the end. Another question I have, and maybe this is for Eric and Ben, every week I feel when I have people on this program, I have to ask what they think is going to stick after COVID, and looking what you've done this year to date and some of the things that the Count Me In team has learned. And what do you think is just going to stick that you've had to adjust to this year? What's part of the long-term game that you guys see?
It's a great question, actually, one that we talk about within our, Count Me In planning meetings all the time. What's worked well, what hasn't worked well, what should we bring into the future? I think one thing in particular that I'm excited about through our, gift card giving program is that it gives recipients the flexibility to shop and celebrate Hanukkah as they like. And this has always been something that, whether we add this as an option in the future with the gifts, or if it becomes the default, I think it's a really interesting and exciting way to help recipients plan the holidays that works best for them. And this has given us an opportunity to make Hanukkah and our giving towards these recipients way more flexible. So that's something that I hope, that sticks around, or at least the philosophy behind it sticks around into the future.
And Ben, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's such a crazy year. It really kind of depends on how we see how the program worked at the end of the year. On one hand, in a more physical way, I think donors have always enjoyed getting the bags at places like Emanu and taking their kids out shopping for other families. It's a nice way to engender empathy in your kids and to physically interact with the community. And on the other hand, like Gillian said, anonymity is very important to the program, and giving the parents more control has always been very, very important. These gifts, like for the parents' perspective, come from the community, but from the kids' perspective, they come from their parents. So any way that you can give the parents more control over how they want to uniquely do it for their family is beneficial. So we'll have to see whether this the gift card method or more physical gifts or a hybrid of the two is more useful going forward. But we'll definitely learn a lot for sure.
All right. And then I always like to put on a PR hat at the end and really give the organization or the entity that I bring on a chance to really share the various things that they have going on, their website, etc. So for those of you who are watching this on Facebook or YouTube, I will share these links with the post, so you'll be able to get all the information you need. So be on the lookout for that. Gillian, the floor is yours to really promote some of the things and ways people can learn more about Count Me In and contribute.
Yes, I want to encourage everyone to go to our website, countmeinhouston.org. I really want to thank Eric and Ben. They rebuilt the entire website. We have a new donor platform. It's awesome. I hope you'll check it out. And to give, the average cost of a bag traditionally is around $90. So obviously whatever you can get, anyone can give is awesome. But we're asking for $90 as a starting gift this year. And we have a lot of money to raise. We're looking to raise about $30,000. And we're on our way. We've, I think, raised a little over 10, but we have some a lot of work to do, and we're so excited to engage the entire community in this effort. You can give by, like I said, online or by check. We're going to be accepting checks through the at the JCC this year. So checks need to be sent directly to 5601 South Braeswood. And yeah, and on our website as well, you can see all of our partners. We're also going to be launching a teen philanthropy initiative for Count Me In. You should follow us on our Instagram, LSR BBYO. We will be promoting that in the coming weeks. And the weekend of, I believe, November 6th is going to be a Count Me In Shabbat. And so that'll be kind of a community-wide celebration of Count Me In, and to, push everyone to give that weekend. And in order to serve our clients in the best way, we would love everyone to donate by November 15th. So we have the time to organize, and Morgan and her team can get ready to distribute.
Well, I appreciate that information. And again, those who have watched this broadcast will be able to find that information, particularly on our Facebook and YouTube. So I want to thank all of our guests. I really appreciate Gillian kind of rounding everybody up on this call. This is really beneficial and a great opportunity to learn about Count Me In. So thank you all for coming on today. And you guys can hide your screens. I'd like to thank David Tanner, who is behind the scenes as always, helping us out with these broadcasts. Our next broadcast is going to be Wednesday, November 3rd at 12 p.m. We're going to stay as far away from the election as possible as we welcome David Pillen, the Assistant Athletic Director of Marketing at Rice University. We're going to see how sports has changed as we know it. And obviously, without fans in the stands, how are these university athletic programs engaging their fan base and their alumni? So we'll learn more. And of course, as a reminder, you can catch any episode you've missed on the Emanu YouTube channel, and we'll see you soon. So that's the Emanu YouTube channel to catch any episodes. And of course, we'll see you next week for our next episode. Thanks again for joining us, and we hope you have a great week.